Hey everybody, we're here with Chef Matt Cooper today in his beautiful restaurant, Conifer. So how long has Conifer been open now?
We've been open a little over a year now.
A little over a year, okay. So tell us a little bit about the vision of Conifer and how it all came together.
So the vision of Conifer was really derived from two things. One, building a space in a restaurant that really supported the community from a farmer standpoint, and also bringing together all the people that I've worked for a very long time and having one place for us all to coexist together because we all share like kind of the same vision for the community. So those are the two reasons. The name Conifer comes from planting seeds for the community. So conifers are trees, but they're also seeds. So it's the hidden meaning of always thinking about like how we all grow, learn, and evolve together.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it, man. So if you ask around town, your name comes up first when it comes to chefs that work with farms and buy local. Why is that so important to you?
I think that's really why I opened the restaurant. Like I've been doing this for a long time. I've worked for a lot of people, and it came time. Like I come from a family of humanitarians, and that's always been really deeply rooted in my blood and who I am and how I feel about the world. And again, pulling it back to community, I moved from Portland. I grew up here, but I moved back from Portland so I could make a difference here in our state. And so that's just been a really huge focus. So why we do that is, again, it goes to our vision. That's why we support local farmers. So we try to support local farmers the way in which they need and want to be supported. And that looks like a lot of different things. Like, if we have a mushroom farmer that only grows mushrooms, then we're going to order as many as we can, and we're going to make sure that's represented on our menu. And that creates challenges for us because we always have to have that on it, but that's our vision. So, is to make sure that we have a joke. It's like, if our farmers are not relying on us to feed their families in some way, shape, or form, then we're not doing our job. But it is pretty true. Like, we have the relationships that we have with our farmers is if they need something, they call me. If they have a crop that someone else has been working on, like another chef or another restaurant has been working on, and they can't, and they had to bow out or something like that, then like we dive in and we try to help them the best we can. And we try to be as local as we can, and then after that we're as sustainable as we can, and then as regional as we can.
Yeah.
So we have fish on the menu. It gets it from the Pacific Northwest. So we're not saying everything's local, but we try to do the best that we can, and we try to push that envelope constantly in our narrative.
So my experience with that, when we were first getting started, I think we had 2 field blocks planted.
Right. Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
But we got introduced by a local
Yeah.
friend or a mutual friend, and you came out to the farm.
Yeah.
And you walked through our tomatoes, and you picked a couple of them, and you ate them, and you said, "Oh yeah, these are delicious. I'll
Yeah.
take them all."
Yeah.
And for a first-time grower like me, that was like, it was like this world-changing moment for me.
Yeah.
That someone like you tasted what we were growing, thought it was good, and that you wanted it in a place like this. And that felt amazing.
I
It
appreciate
really was
that.
meaningful.
I think those relationships are really meaningful for us as well, because to be able to encourage growth from that standpoint, to understand where our food comes from is extremely important. I mean, we've talked about it. For instance, like we know that we're working on our little farm as well that'll do something just kind of on the side and not compete with anything, but complement everything that's existing, because we need more people to do that and to push that conversation. So yeah, it's extremely meaningful us to be involved in those moments. I talk about this one moment that happened with A&A Farms when I was out there talking to him, and I was one of the first chefs that ever came out there. It might have been the first, and or A&A Orchard, and we were walking around pear trees, and somehow we ended up with that my grandfather had helped create one of the pear trees.
No kidding.
Because my
Like that
grandfather's-
variety?
Yeah, that variety
Okay.
that I was standing behind, because he started the food technology program at U of A. And though you can't create those relationships. You
Yeah.
can't like create, manifest those moments. It's a beautiful thing, and that's what really matters: the relationships and how we do it. And again, this is a hard industry, so like how we support each other makes all the difference.
Makes you wonder what our grandkids are going to discover about what the work that we do, right?
Hopefully.
So, hey, listen, using local produce and buying from local farms isn't easy. and it affects your menu, and because there's seasonality. And,
Right.
you know, so I was here last week, and the menu was totally different than when you were serving peaches and cucumbers over the summer.
Right.
How do you have to adjust the way you run your restaurant in order to support local farmers?
So that's also kind of a, like, that's our challenge, right? Is like, how do we stay profitable and provide all the things that we want to for our family here, our employees, and still be able to be as seasonal as possible. And it means just really frequent menu flips. We are changing something on the menu every week. It might be one thing, it might be an ingredient in one thing, or it might be like so right now we're changing this in the next 3 weeks. We're changing, you know, a third of the menu each week because we know things are coming in and things are moving out, and we kind of want to mix things up. And that gives us the versatility to be able to, like, you know, pivot with our farmers and figure out what's happening. Like when you had tomatoes and cucumbers, you had a lot of them. So we had like 3 tomato and cucumber dishes on the menu in different ways. That's a challenge because it's easy just to say, no, we only want tomatoes for that one dish. But when you have this vision and you have this, like, this a rule, it's just a rule. We're not going to stray away from that as best we can. You know, I mean, if we can't take everything, we can't, but we're going to do the best we can.
Yeah, okay. So as a chef here in Northwest Arkansas, what do you see your role as in the local food system?
So I think my role is what I talked about in the beginning, is that of a humanitarian and that of a community builder. So we're always thinking, or at least I am always thinking about how the things that we do at this restaurant affect not only my employees in a positive way, but then how we can affect everything and everyone in the community in a positive way. So if we're serving local produce, we're talking about it at the table, we're talking about where it comes from, then people, if you have a farm stand, they make that connection, they go to the farm stand. It's about building the bigger food movement and the bigger understanding about where food comes and why it's important to support local places instead of just going to the store and getting something off the shelf. Take the extra time to do that because it makes a huge difference not only in our local economy, but in the people's lives that you're buying it from. Like, it's justification. Like when people come in and eat our food and they love it or they hate it or whatever it is, it's justification for the work that we've done, and it pushes our vision. Like we don't need that. We have our own internal motivation for why we do and what we do. You know, we're not going to be for everyone, and that's important to understand. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
And that's fine, and that's great. There's other places for things, but like that's the motivation, and that's what keeps us going.
That's wonderful. I think our job really together is to change hearts and minds.
Right. Exactly.
What it means to support local.
Yeah.
And I love the amount of touch points that you're creating in our community to do that. So thank you for your work. We really do appreciate it.
It takes a village. Like it
absolutely
takes
does.
Farmers like you, and it takes farmers that I've worked with in the past, and you know, that's the one thing is, like, you know, we're only successful if we're successful together, and that you know, everything that we do and all the things that we do, you know, my people, and I call them my family because they are. We work a lot of hours together and see each other more than our family. So my family is the one that helps us be successful and push these narratives and motivate me to keep doing what we've stuck to our vision. Like we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, brother.
It's great
Yeah.
to be here in your beautiful restaurant.
Yeah, thank you.
If you haven't been to Conifer yet, please come check it out. You'll get a taste of Tuckaway Farm as well as many other great local farms here.